Good morning once again, and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV. Good morning, how are you? And welcome if you're just tuning in and joining us. My name is Apollo Sarah, and in studio with me is Agi Uwase, Shiva Nauma, and Priva Elibaz. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Sarah.
Now, welcome to our Views segment, and what we do here is we talk about real-life conversations that impact our everyday life. And today, in particular, we're going to be discussing something very interesting. I'd like to take us back a few weeks back when when the Masaka woman MP, and that is Honorable Namutawe Joan, made her maiden address in the House of Parliament, rather House of Members of Parliament. And please take a look at this video. Look at me jumbling my words, but please take a look at this video, and then let's get right into it.
So, Right Honorable Speaker, my players, I request the Minister of Education and the Public Service I request the Minister of Education.
Honorable Member.
And the House.
Honorable Member, that's for your school.
Yes.
Yes, the government spent 2 billion in the area.
Well, that is Honorable Namutawe Joan, and she made her first maiden address on the floor of Parliament, in which her address was to request for the Minister of Education and Sports to provide more teachers for the schools in her constituency. Now, she went viral on social media, especially Twitter, and a lot of people had very, very mean things to say about her. Some people questioned her level of intelligence. Some people questioned whether she's educated. Some people questioned and said that why would the Parliament accept such mediocrity in the House. Now, some of the tweets that people put out, a gentleman called Gerard Ahabe went on to say that after yesterday's infamous Masaka woman MP made an address at the floor of Parliament in which her English can't pass for even a P3 graduate. Many scoffed at using English as a medium of communication in Uganda, and he goes on to say, I therefore arrest, which he put in quotes, my case. Another gentleman called Darius went on to say, Honorable Namutawe Joan, these are some of the people who are in support with her, said, Honorable Namutawe Joan, the woman MP Masaka, reminds me of a certain minister in charge of general duties, office of the president, who said the thunder is a poor. And another gentleman called Muganga went on to say, as people of Masaka, we stand with our woman MP Namutawe Joan. She is a strong woman that cares for her community and the nation at large. Go strong at Honorable Namutawe Joan. Now, I had to keep the tweets a little respectful because I couldn't bring out just the vile, you know, insensitive ones. So today the question is, the big question today is English a measure of intelligence? And would love to hear from you, so please connect with us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and let me know your thoughts. But ladies, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Is English a measure of intelligence?
Absolutely not. I don't think it's a measure of intelligence, because I believe learning a language is a skill.
Yes.
There is more to just speaking English than meets the eye. You find so many people who can speak English, but upwards they are not as intelligent as we think that they should be.
Yes.
However, also if we're saying, I don't think English should be a sign of either intelligence or not being intelligent, because, for example, like a country in Japan, their first language is not English, so would you say that they're not intelligent? Yet Japanese are actually very intelligent people, and we've seen the number of things that they've been able to come up with, including the innovations as well. So I would say I definitely do not agree with the fact that people tend to want to think that people who speak English are very sophisticated. I mean, I've gone to school, I speak English, but there are even some words that I still have to Google, you know, to get to understand their meaning or even their pronunciation. So I cannot be the one standing at the floor and saying that, you know, if you do not know English, then you're not an intelligent person, you're not sophisticated, because learning never ends.
Yeah.
Learning does not end. Even our parents keep learning, they keep Googling these things because they do not know them.
All right, what about you, Priva? Is English a measure of intelligence?
First of all, I think, just like you put it, intelligence is more you being able to, you know, have the ability to acquire a skill, learn something new. And let's talk about English. Yeah, English involves, you know, learning new words, very hard words, being able, you know, to remember the grammar, being able to pronounce these words that, you know, so easily.
Yes.
And basically using it like in your day-to-day life. Now, for me, that's a measure of intelligence. If you're able to take up a new language, learn it, understand it, and keep improving one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. Do you want me to speak about the video right now?
Yes, that is why we are here. We are here to talk about that video. That is the basis of this conversation. Yeah.
Speaking about English being a measure of intelligence, I really think to a certain degree it is.
Yeah.
You see, when members of parliament were laughing at Honorable Joan, yes, and people on social media are also doing the same, it's not because it was, I won't say it was malicious, but it's more so of like, you know, the position she is in. She's a member of parliament. She represents a whole constituency. She represents people of Masaka.
Yes.
You know? So it's like they have so much hope in you. I don't want us to look at this as a bad thing, because learning English and being able to speak English is very, very key. It's very important to any person's life. We did speak about how important a degree is back like several weeks ago, yeah? And we understood like even if it's just like a paper, you have an added advantage if you can actually if you possess it, yeah? English, when we go back to English, most of the interviews that you're going to encounter, most likely they're going to ask you how proficient you are in English, both written and spoken.
Yes.
Honorable Joan not being able to express herself so well before members of parliament was so unfortunate. A person like Honorable Joan will not be able to ever lead a committee like COSASE, because how is she going to communicate? So it was unfortunate what happened, but I feel like let's empower ourselves. Let's learn new things. Let's take up new things.
Yes.
You're being intelligent. You're empowering yourself. You're bettering yourself.
Yes.
So for me, English is a measure of intelligence. You have to be able to learn a new language, remember those words, apply your grammar correctly, and keep learning and keep learning and keep learning.
All right, before I come to you, Aggie, hold on. You're fired up. Hold on. I just want to give more context to this. Well, English was first introduced in Uganda by the missionaries in 1877 and was later introduced again by the British administration when the Buganda Kingdom and other communities that make up Uganda became a British protectorate in 1894. Welcome to my history class. Well, it was also used as a lingua franca and a language that was used by the elite during the colonial era. Yeah. Moving on, Uganda's official language is English, and it is spoken by most educated Ugandans. Well, the three major indigenous languages families in Uganda are the Bantu, Central Sudanic, and Nilotic, and Swahili and Luganda are also widely spoken. Now, coming back after Independence Day in 1962 and in 2005, Swahili, which is also a foreign language to Uganda, was also widely viewed and also viewed as a neutral language and was proposed as the country's second official language. And as of 5th July 2022, Uganda has officially adopted Kiswahili as the second official language in Uganda and has now been made compulsory in all primary and secondary schools. So I just wanted to give us that background info. Yes, background info. So yes, Aggie,
honestly, English is not a measure of intelligence. I've said it not just today, but every other day, and I'll still stand on that same thing. Because sometimes you sit down with people who actually cannot speak English fluently, and you just, maybe if you actually understand the language that they are communicating in, you just listen to what they have to say, and it's a lot of wisdom, a lot of it. I mean, English is actually is our official language. It's not our language. Native. Uganda, there's so many languages in this country, and for someone to say that because Honorable Joan could not, you know, articulately express herself in Parliament, that she probably didn't have anything of value or of sense to say, or maybe actually to lower her to a point of saying that maybe she's not intelligent. I saw that, I had that tweet where Sarah said that a P3 dropout, something like that. First of all, to be a member of parliament, you have to have completed senior six. Yeah. And when sometimes you actually speak to students who get about 25 aggregates. Okay, back in the day it was 25. For us it was 20 at Form 6. And trust me, you find this lady has scored 20 aggregates. And when you speak to them, they're not actually fluent in English. Does that mean they're not intelligent?
As bad as Joan?
Yes!
We're
as bad as Joan.
Let me tell you something.
And
for me,
terrible.
I'm not actually going to
Member of
say, because
Parliament.
most people might actually say I'm carrying my sentiments in this. But what is the point? And I will still say it again. It's okay because it's my view. What is the point of having a member of Parliament who is fluent in English and can articulate every issue in English, very well spoken, but they cannot actually do what they're supposed to do as members of Parliament? For me, honestly, to actually watch that video and hear what other members of Parliament laughing and chuckling and all that, for me it was actually the unfortunate incident. They could have actually given her benefit of doubt, cut her some slack, let her be able to present what she has to present on the floor of Parliament. Imagine you're addressing a nation, or you're even addressing people, and people are chuckling. You'll be thrown off balance, trust me. All right. Even when you have to sit across the point.
So I would like to ask this question. If we're going to say that English is a measure of intelligence, then what does it say about our education system? Because the percentage of children who cannot read or even do not recognize the letters of the alphabet increased from 40.5% in 2018 to 55% as of 2022. So it just keeps on going higher and higher. So who is at fault here? Is it her, or she was let down by...
She's not at fault.
By the education system?
No.
So who is to blame here?
No.
Who is to blame?
Let me tell you guys, if you don't know a specific language, it's up to you. It's your decision to say, you know what? The position I'm in, I'm going to be a member of Parliament. I'm going to represent people. English is what is used in Parliament. Yeah, we're going to talk about the issues of not having people translating for you, or being able to express yourself in your local language. But like we did express, we have how many languages, how many tribes in Uganda, how many different languages? We have 56
tribes and 41 living languages that are being spoken in this country.
Exactly. We are a multi-tribalistic kind of, nation.
Multilingual,
yes. We have so many tribes, and at the end of the day, how are you going to communicate to someone in Karamoja if you're speaking your Luganda?
But don't you think if a Karamoja, say, members of Parliament were addressing the floor in their language, that would actually get people a lot more involved in their politics, because they understand what they're talking about? Because see, now if you speak of somebody who is in rural Karamoja, who has probably never gone to school before, cannot even say hello or form one word in English before, don't you think they get alienated and kept out? Because sometimes some of them do not even trust that their members of Parliament are actually addressing or rather representing them in a proper way.
Imagine there was a parliamentary session and one person from Kabale wakes up and stands up and speaks in Ruchiga. Another one comes from let's say Kazo speaks in Ruhima. Then we have someone from Karamoja speaking in their language. You have someone from Arua speaking Lugbar, and we have someone from Fort Portal speaking. You get that would be chaos. That would be total chaos in a parliament.
It doesn't have to be like that, but there should be provision for those who actually cannot express themselves. By the way, you could actually think that you can express yourself fluently in English until you're on that floor of Parliament and you find you actually fail to articulate yourself.
No, I understand the issues of anxiety.
There should be provision for those who actually cannot express themselves, for everyone to understand them. For me, that's what I would think. I don't think that of the over 500 members of Parliament that maybe 30% cannot express themselves. No, there is that 1, 2, 3, and by the time people of Masaka voted this lady, I like what that gentleman said, that they stand with their member of Parliament, because that is who they voted. Because why? Because they saw that he was actually a capable leader. There might have been someone who was articulate in English and maybe they're not capable
enough that she failed to actually deliver
yes, that is why there should be
provision.
Maybe if she could have expressed herself in Luganda, it's okay. Maybe even her constituents would have understood that she's representing their
views. But she didn't even consider that option.
Other members of Parliament, they would understand.
That option wasn't even considered, so I don't know.
Allow me to say this. I think very many times it's up to you. If you do not know a language, it is definitely up to you to make the effort to learn it. However, very many times we are very quick to throw a stone at people who cannot express themselves in English. Because let's look at it. Maybe we are speaking from a point of privilege. Maybe are you aware that there are people who went to school but still cannot speak English? That is because maybe they did not put in the effort, or that's something they do not want. But imagine, would it be fair if you walked into a place, or if society, and actually it happens in the world, in India, there are two sections of people. If you cannot speak English, in India, if you cannot speak English, then you're regarded as a minority, you're regarded to be ignorant, surprisingly. So that English, that language barrier has already created classes.
Division, yeah.
So imagine a world where in every country you go to, if you did not know English, you would be regarded as
Dumb.
You'd be regarded as dumb, dull, you know, very ignorant. Would it be fair if your fluency in English is something that they use to judge your intelligence? Imagine how unfair a world can be. Do you know how many people, and I was reading a report, and I know maybe this is just a bit away from the conversation, a report that was released by UNESCO in 2018. And they sampled and said that all the children who are going to school and they were being taught in their mother tongue actually passed examinations compared to those who are being taught in English. I understand English is a prerequisite. Anyway, in the UN, they'll ask you, okay, yes, you know English, but what other language do you know? Maybe she doesn't know English. Maybe she knows French.
You guys.
No,
I'm not
question.
you have to be a scholar in English. You don't have to be a scholar in English. But can you have the basic principles?
English is a mode of communication.
I'm not
a universal mode of communication.
I'm not giving it as an
speak
excuse,
for
but I'm just saying that maybe we need to give some people the benefit of doubt. Yes. However, if you are going to apply for a certain position, such as Member of Parliament, I think you need to take it upon yourself to learn. Learning never ends. You're a president, you're a cabinet minister, you are a CEO, you, regardless of what, now when you're in those positions, unfortunately or fortunately for you, you do not have the liberty to say, oh, you know what, my English is not so good. No.
Maybe in
it's
Uganda.
Supposed to,
maybe in
Listen,
Uganda.
that is how it is. Ladies,
Uganda.
this takes me back to my previous question. What does it say about our education system? Because for all of us, okay, at least in my time, I don't know how it was in your time, but growing up, our first language was our mother tongue. That's how our parents communicated to us, our grandparents communicated to us. And then when we later went into school, of course, English was more like a by-the-way type of language. But then when we later went to school, then that is when you actually got to learn, you know, and got to learn to speak and write English a lot better. You know, speak it fluently and also write it a lot better. Because it's the country's official language, and that is the mode in which all exams are, you know, written in. That is all the language in which many interviews are conducted in. So don't you think it is the education system's fault that our Member of Parliament, Honorable, is in a place where she cannot properly, you know, express herself in English?
I think it would be very hard to, you know, quantify that, because at the end of the day, we also have a fair amount of Ugandans who speak good English. I'm not saying they are scholars that they speak.
But have you considered the
English,
fact that perhaps she was born and raised in Masaka?
Mm-hmm. But there are no educated people in Masaka, Uganda.
I'm not saying that they are not, but the predominantly used language in Masaka is Luganda. Just as if you would go to Mbarara, or if you go to Soroti, if you go to Gulu, it is their language, right? So when you find people who are born and raised in those areas, in their home districts, or rather, you find that they are a lot more conversant in their mother tongue than they are in English. So English just becomes a second language. That is why here you can actually tell a person from their region, you know that this person by their accent, because you know they have been raised, they were born and raised there, and then they went to school there. Because even some people, I have a friend of mine who was born and raised in Mbara, and he said that the reason why I speak the way I do and I pronounce some words the way I do is because my teachers pronounce them that way. And everything is twisted into the mother tongue. So even the way you pronounce the English word comes with the accent. Do you understand? So I'm talking about, so should we blame our education system?
Absolutely not. We cannot blame
Why
our education system, because at the end of the day, like I say, there's a fair number of people that also speak English. So how do they get to that point? For me, I feel like it's more of an individual effort as a person. I've seen people haven't even gone to school. I'll give an example of, you know, a very famous, you know, he's local, he's international, he's like all over the place. Eddie Kenzo. Eddie Kenzo came on the scene when he couldn't speak even one single sentence in English.
Now?
He couldn't even express himself. Yes, I've seen
He
I've seen a couple of his interviews, but from what he was back then to what he is now, he has, you know, it has been a huge transformation. At the end of the day, if Kenzo goes to a place, let me say like where maybe South Africa, where no one knows Luganda, they'll be able to hear what he's saying. He'll be able to communicate. Sometimes you need to learn these languages because they are a form of communication. You don't have to embarrass yourself when you get somewhere else and you can't even communicate. You can't even speak.
I understand.
Are you going to move with a translator everywhere you go?
I understand where you're coming from, and it's very true. You see, very many times we are quick to blame, you know, the government. We're quick to blame the education system for not doing their part. But you see, you will not go to office or you will not go to address people while wearing a placard and saying, my English teacher never used to teach, you know. No, but also away from that, but no one will always know that, oh my God, she did not receive the best education, or she did not go to school, or even when she went to school, the teachers did not show up. No one wants to know. Everyone wants to know, are you able to communicate? Okay, if you're able to communicate, are you able to communicate effectively? So the school has gone. It is now you against the world. What do you have to offer? Your school is not going to be there to make excuses for you and say, you know what, the reason as to why Shivan did not learn English is maybe she was constantly sick or the English teachers were never paid. No, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. It's that cruel. You have got to add
Uganda. Maybe Uganda is the one that's cruel.
No, just let me finish. It's not just Uganda. I mentioned India. I mentioned Japan. There are so many countries in the world where English is such a big deal. But there are countries in the world where when people do not know English, you're regarded as second class. There are countries in the world where if you do not know English, you will not qualify for a job. There are other countries where it doesn't really matter. But what will it take away from you if you made effort to learn the basics? Learn the English, okay. Learn how to communicate properly. Learn the basic words. Learn a bit of French. I am here, I'm studying Chinese. I don't know if I will ever go to China, but an opportunity may arise. So learn Chinese. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yourself.
Let's learn to empower ourselves instead of quickly blaming our schools, our head teachers, our workplaces. We are very quick at throwing the blame at everyone else. What are you doing about it? You do not know English. Are you learning? Are you on Google? are you following YouTube?
Okay,
you think?
Yes, for me, I don't think we should blame the Ministry of Education. No, that would be not a good thing. But I just don't like, and I still want to make it clear, I just don't like the fact that we had to judge this member of parliament based on what she had to present. I don't know for me, but let me even put in the fact that, could you consider the fact that maybe she was nervous because she talked about the Minister of Education and Sports, and that you actually had that.
She
expressed and she
yes,
like, and she was stammering. For me, I want to think that maybe that is also an aspect of it. But talking about English being the measure of intelligence, let's just cross to our friends in Kenya and Tanzania. Kenya is actually holding presidential campaigns, and they'll be voting anytime soon. If you look at their rallies, they barely speak English. It's Swahili. Would you say they're not intelligent because they're not speaking English?
That is what I was saying.
Yes. If you go to across all the way to Rwanda, barely will you find anyone very articulate in English, but they'll express themselves properly in French. Listen. And the official language of Rwanda is actually French. So you cannot say that they're not intelligent because they cannot articulate themselves.
Then the issue is the country.
So when you say English,
the issue is with the country because
ladies, where French is an official language, knowing French would be a measure of
intelligence. But the question is English the measure of intelligence? No, but you're bringing up a mode of communication.
Languages.
It's a mode of communication.
This is my 2 cents. This is my 2 cents on the issue. Number one, I think the Ministry of Education needs to take full responsibility for this crisis in the country, because it is through our education systems that people are introduced to the world and dynamics of the world, employment and everything in between. So if this system is not able to teach children the proper mode of communication or official mode of communication, then I don't think you should even blame the parents, because the parent is going to teach because see, if you're going to be born and raised in Soroti, why do you have to speak English when everybody communicates in Ataso? You get? English becomes secondary. when you're in Mbarara, English comes secondary. In the north, it comes in Masaka, it comes secondary. It's the second language. Your first language is your mother tongue. So I think the Ministry of Education needs to take responsibility from this. I mean, this is their own statistics. It said illiteracy levels increased from 40% and now going up to 55%. They are responsible for this. Point period blank. Number 2, English is a mode of communication. It is a language, and a lot of experts have gone to show and say that it is just a mode of communication.
That is true.
That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. And they go on to say that there are other things that attribute to the level of intelligence in a person. You have to take a number of aptitude tests, and that also differ. So you cannot make a fish climb a tree and then say that it is unintelligent.
And just one thing, I think for us in Uganda, English is very important.
Yes.
It's very important to express yourself in English because of the fact that we have Batoro, we have Banyankole, we have all that. But imagine a situation where we're all Baganda. It wasn't going to be a big deal. It was never going to be a big deal. That video wasn't going to be a big deal because the member of parliament would have probably expressed themselves in Luganda, and it would have been fine.
I was searching for the number of top. I even moved from 5. I had to go to 10 up to 20. The top 10, 20 languages spoken in Africa, and English is nowhere. English is nowhere. But again, I'll remain to say this. English shouldn't be a measure of intelligence. It's just a means of communication.
Yeah.
No, actually, and English is one of the most frequently spoken languages in Uganda, and English is in Africa. It is actually one of the most frequently spoken languages in Africa, and English is the official language of Uganda. And not only that, according to a study by the World Linguistic Society, it did show that Ugandans do speak the best English in Africa, followed by Zambia, South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Ghana, Botswana, Sudan, Rwanda, etc., etc. But before we go, I'd like to share some responses that we got from some of our viewers. And our first response comes in from Farouk, and he goes on to say, I think yes. When we asked the question, is English a measure of intelligence? He said, I think yes. In some ways, yes. But it depends on whether it's your first language or not. The ability to learn a new language and be proficient should be some measure of intelligence. Also, it would indicate a considerable measure of communication skills, which is a sign of intelligence in some way. And he goes on to say, that being said, I don't think English proficiency is a measure of intelligence any more than the next available language. It may be Swahili, could be Chinese, it could be Luo, etc. And next it comes in from Ivy, and she goes on to say, we all simply learnt it. Intelligence stretches far beyond how you communicate. It's how you think and analyze and resolve things, and so on, as long as there's content in there. And next tweet comes in from Sheila, and she goes on to say, no, it isn't. How many people can speak English but have empty brains?
True that.
And her last response comes in from Alinda, and she says, most people will say no, but I understand why. But to some extent, I would say yes, that English is a measure of intelligence. Well, I'd like to hear from you, so please connect with us, of course, on social media platforms, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Let me know, is English a measure of intelligence? That is all I had for you on this segment of the views, of our views. But keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
Well, we finally come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great and good show. We had amazing conversations in regard to guild elections and proper guild elections. And yes, moving forward, like we mentioned in the Twitter Jabs 1 and Twitter Jabs 2, Makerere University guild elections will be actually virtual. But we'll see how this comes into effect. And also on our views, we did discuss, is English a measure of intelligence? Sarah actually mentioned that you can connect with us on our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We definitely would want to hear your opinion if we haven't yet. Well, the ladies and I had an amazing show, and again, thanks so much for joining us. And from the team, we wish you a very wonderful day, beautiful Thursday. Enjoy your day.